I want you to imagine for a moment that you live in a cottage by the sea or a cabin in the woods, somewhere quiet, somewhere simple, somewhere that just makes your whole body soften a bit just thinking about it. It's a warm Sunday. The radio's playing softly in the kitchen, sunlight's coming through the window. Maybe someone you love is nearby. Maybe there are kids outside playing. Maybe you're making sandwiches for a picnic or getting ready to walk down to the beach. There's nowhere urgent to be, nothing pulling at you, nothing demanding anything from you. Everything is perfect. You feel peaceful and you feel content. Just sit with that for a second. Now imagine you pick up an iPad. You open the news and the first thing you see is a headline warning about war. Then you go onto Facebook or Twitter and within seconds you're staring at strangers screaming at each other about politics, immigration, religion, gender, Trump, whatever today's outrage is. Then you open Instagram and you're hit with adverts, people selling you a better body, a better face, a better life, a better version of yourself. The sun is still shining, but then an email or a text comes in from work. They need you tomorrow. There's overtime. There's pressure. There's that familiar feeling in your chest. And sitting on the table next to you is a stack of bills you still haven't properly dealt with, and you haven't got the money to pay them. And then you remember there's a form you still need to fill in, an appointment you still need to book, and a phone call you've been putting off for weeks. Then you look at the newspaper on the table and all you see are headlines about disease, collapse, recession, layoffs, crime, war, climate disaster. You remember that even this peaceful day isn't really free, because tomorrow is Monday and the whole machine starts again. You feel that low-grade pressure to use that day well, to make the most of it, to be productive, to reply to people, to sort your life out, to fix yourself. You think about how many passwords, subscriptions, apps, updates, and accounts your life now depends on. You hear your phone buzz again. You don't even want to look, but now part of your mind is already there, and you have to. That's what modern life does to you. It's still the same sunny, perfect day, but suddenly now there's a mountain on your shoulders that you have to carry through that day. Try to remember what it was like when you were a kid and you would go out and play or get excited because it was summer and you had 6 weeks off. How were you able to enjoy it then, but you would struggle to truly enjoy 6 weeks off now? Because when you were a kid, you weren't reading the news. You weren't paying attention to news about recession or war or politics. You didn't have to make appointments, have subscriptions, or fill out forms that modern day life requires. Some days, I think part of the reason life feels so overwhelming now is because we're trying to live like human beings inside an environment that constantly assaults the nervous system. Not once or twice either, but in 100 small ways every single day. Like little alarms, little demands, little reminders that something is wrong, something is due, something is coming, and something needs your attention right now. And I think that matters more than we admit because people talk about overwhelm as if it's some kind of personal weakness. Like maybe you're too sensitive or undisciplined or just not coping properly. But I don't think that's the full picture at all. I think a lot of us are exhausted because modern life has become psychologically invasive. It doesn't stay in one place anymore. It follows you into the kitchen, into bed, into your weekends, into your relationships, into the few quiet minutes you were supposed to have to yourself. There's no edge to it anymore. You're reachable all the time, informed all the time, comparable all the time, even when nothing is technically happening. Part of your mind is still tethered to a world that is constantly asking something from you. And that creates this strange kind of suffering, because on paper, a lot of us are safer and more comfortable than people were in the past. We have convenience, we have technology, we have endless access to things that are supposed to make life easier. So why does it feel like so many are barely holding on to themselves? I think it's because convenience removed certain physical hardships, but replaced them with a kind of invisible cognitive weight that never really lets up. You may not be chopping wood or washing clothes or hunting for your own food by hand, but you are carrying 10 tabs open in your mind all the time. Whether it's work or money or messages, health, politics, news, admin, family, the version of yourself you're trying to become, the version you're scared you'll never become. And your body doesn't always know the difference between a real physical threat and 1,000 low pressures stacked on top of each other. It just knows that something keeps interrupting your sense of safety. Something keeps pulling you out of the present. Something keeps telling you to brace. And we know, all of us, what that feels like. When you go through the day just expecting something to happen, something bad to happen. And I think that's why so many people now struggle to fully rest, even when they technically have time. Because rest is not just about having an empty afternoon. Rest is about feeling unthreatened. It's about feeling like, for a moment, nothing is coming for you. And a lot of people don't feel that anymore. Even on a Sunday, even on a holiday, even in beautiful places, or with people they love. Part of them is still waiting for the next email, that next bill, the next headline, the next demand. And that does something to a person. It makes life feel heavier than it should. It makes simple things feel harder than they should. It makes peace easier to imagine than to actually inhabit. And when you live like that for long enough, you can start blaming yourself for what is really an environmental problem. You think, why can't I relax properly? Why does everything feel like too much? But maybe it isn't that you're failing at life. Maybe life, as it is currently structured, is just asking far too much from the human system. Maybe your exhaustion is not proof that you're broken. Maybe it's proof that something about the way we live now is fundamentally at odds with the way people are meant to live. That's not balance. That's not overload. It's self-destruction. And when that self-destruction becomes normal, people stop recognizing it for what it is. They call it adulthood. They call it ambition. They call it productivity. They call it keeping up. But your body still keeps score. It's in your chest. It's in your sleep. It's in your attention span. In the way you can't fully switch off some days. And I think a lot of people are walking around carrying that without really understanding why they feel the way they do. They just know they're tired. Not normal tired, but a deeper tired. The kind where even small tasks feel strangely expensive. And I think that deserves a lot more compassion than it gets. Because this isn't just about individual weakness. It's about what happens when the basic conditions of life become too psychologically crowded. Too much noise, too much urgency, too much comparison, too much artificial intensity, and not enough slowness, nature, silence, community, or real safety. We are trying to be okay inside conditions that make okayness incredibly hard to sustain. And I think a lot of people can feel that, even if they don't have the language for it. They just know that something is off. Something doesn't feel right. That life feels faster, louder, harsher, more fragmented. That even when they're doing nothing, they don't feel free. But I don't think peace is indulgent. I think peace is a biological need. I think slowness is a biological need. I think a sense of enoughness is a biological need. So when you feel overwhelmed by what should technically be a manageable life, I don't think the first question should always be, what's wrong with me? Or sometimes the better question is, what am I being asked to absorb every day that no human being was really designed to absorb? Because maybe your system is not malfunctioning. Maybe it's protesting. Maybe it's saying, this is too much, too fast, too loud, too artificial, too disconnected. And maybe that message is not something to suppress straight away. Maybe it's something to listen to.